Let's talk about something really tough, something a lot of us in business have to face at some point. What do you do when a great partnership goes bad? When it stops being about business and starts getting personal and even, a little scary.
Have you ever been there? That awful feeling in the pit of your stomach where you feel like you've been completely deceived or cheated by a partner. It's a horrible spot to be in, and honestly, it can feel like you're totally trapped with no good way out.
I mean, listen to this. This is a real threat someone got during a business fight. It started as a simple money issue, but it blew up fast. All of a sudden, there were angry calls, threatening voice notes, total intimidation. It shows you just how quickly things can spiral out of control.
So, how do you even begin to handle this? Well, we've got a 5-part game plan for you. We'll start by understanding the trap itself, then get into rule number 1, controlling your words. After that, we'll build your legal safety net, find your moral compass in law and faith, and finally, figure out how to build smarter so this doesn't happen again.
Okay, let's dive right into part 1, the trap. How does a partnership even get to a place where threats are being thrown around? Believe it or not, it usually starts with something really small and practical.
So in the case we're looking at, one side of the partnership just needed access to some company accounts and logins. Pretty simple request, right? But when they didn't get them instantly, the whole tone shifted. It went from a business request to accusations to emotional blackmail, and suddenly the other person felt completely cornered.
All right, so you're feeling attacked. What's the first thing you want to do? Your gut instinct is probably to fight back, to match their energy. But here's the secret. The most powerful thing you can do is the exact opposite. You have to control your own words.
This is the absolute core of resolving any conflict. You can't know what's really going on in your partner's head. You don't know their real intentions. The only thing you truly know is your own perspective, your own feelings, and your own intentions. So that's all you should speak about.
And this is where you see the magic happen. Just look at the power shift. Saying, "You are harassing me," is just begging for a fight. But saying, "I am disturbed and I need this to stop," well, who can argue with that? It's a fact about your state of mind. By switching from you statements to I statements, you pull the emergency brake on the argument and take back control.
Okay, we've covered how to handle the heat of the moment, but let's talk about the long game. When threats are on the table, you absolutely have to create an official record. You need to protect yourself from what they might say or do down the line.
And your first legal step is something called a general diary, or a GD. Now, this isn't about pressing charges or starting a war. Think of it as putting up your shield. You're creating a legal record of the facts on your terms just in case things get worse. It's your safety net.
And here's exactly how you do it. It's a clear, simple plan. Step 2 is so important. By officially stating in a police record that you've returned all company data, all the logins, all the property, you protect yourself from them turning around later and accusing you of theft. This piece of paper becomes your legal shield. Now, taking these practical legal steps, it's not just a cold strategic move. You can actually see this as being guided by some really powerful ethical and even spiritual principles.
There's a principle in the Quran found in Surah Al-Kahf called Ittibai al-Asbab, which basically means following the means. It's this idea that you should use all the lawful tools and resources available to you to handle your problems. So filing that general diary, that's not being aggressive. That's you being responsible and using the system that's there to protect you.
At the same time, the Quran guides us to avoid fisk, which means crossing a line or transgressing. A verse in Surah Al-Baqarah talking about Hajj says there should be no wickedness or wrangling. And that applies here too. The goal is to solve the problem without breaking laws or moral boundaries yourself. You have to stay within the lines, no matter what.
So, we've talked about how to get out of a messy situation. Now for what might be the most important part. How do we learn from this so it never ever happens again? Well, the root of almost all of these problems is miscommunication.
Let me give you a super simple example. A manager tells the developer, "Hey, I need this website finished by Saturday." The developer says, "No problem." Saturday comes and goes, the site isn't done. The manager is absolutely furious, and the developer has no idea why it's such a big deal. So, what went wrong? Well, here's what the developer didn't know. To the manager, that Saturday deadline was everything. It was tied to a promise to the client, it was tied to having enough time for a review, it was tied to the entire company's reputation and credibility. But none of that was ever said out loud. All the developer heard was the word Saturday.
And this right here is the golden rule for building better partnerships. Don't just communicate the what. You have to communicate the why, and maybe most importantly, the how important. The manager felt the deadline's intensity was a 10 out of 10. The developer thought it was maybe a 5. That gap is where trust dies and where conflict is born.
Ultimately, it all comes back to this one thing. Our words are powerful tools. So you have to ask yourself, in your business, in your life, are you using them to build walls that create conflict, or are you using them to build bridges that lead to understanding? That's definitely something to think about.